to Nadeen Herring. I'm not going to tell you anything about the attic or the Bryson Institute because you should know a little bit about the attic with all the good work that you've been doing. Thank you so much to support them over the years. But Nadine's going to tell you a lot more about that. But I just wanted to tell you a little bit about Nadeen and just so we know about this fabulous person standing in front of us today. And I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your Sunday morning to be here. I'm just going to read it because this is pretty cool. Can't memorize it, it's too much. Nadeen is a seasoned educator, entrepreneur, children's book author, and a proud mother of 4 boys. Woo! She didn't have the woo in there. I did that. Her platform is simple. The binary is a myth. Her children are not her property. Human rights are not subjective or negotiable. Gender-expansive people are a piece of the founding fabric of our world. 3 years ago, Nadeen walked away from her 30-plus years career of wearing many hats as an educator to devote her passion into someone much more important, her child with trans experience. Nadeen has found her joy as the coordinator of the Bryson Institute at the Attic Youth Center in Center City, Philadelphia, and there she leads trainings in communal, business, educational, and secular environments to share best practices for working with, supporting, and welcoming LGBTQ+ persons into the fold for all to enjoy a sense of safety and authentic visibility. So welcome, Nadeen.
So good morning.
Good morning.
This is my real voice. I'm loud. I'm a New Yorker in my gut. That's where I was born. And thank you for the introduction. So it pretty much tells you my brief story because our stories are always ever changing, right? So thank you, number one, for having me. I'm very, very blessed and happy to be here because I love what I do. So I'll do it any day, every day. So this is about creating brave and inclusive spaces for LGBT+ siblings and youth. We largely always center on youth, which of course, as you never were a former educator, you're always an educator, right? But we forget that youth grow up into adults. And many of our siblings, I'm talking about the family of siblings, are affected by those youth nightmares where I could not be me. So we also be protective of adults that we work and worship alongside. It's not just youth, and we want our youth to become adults. So I'm very, very happy to be here. And I know there's another Nadeen. Glad to be with you. My mom and dad said, you know, we're gonna make this child special. We're gonna spell her name this way. So let's move on. So the Attic Youth Center, if you don't know, we have been in existence for 32 years. Many people don't even know that, even in Philadelphia, right? It started as an after-school youth program for trans and queer youth, and now we're the only one of its kind who solely serve youth. There are many, many programs. We're like partners with so many people and organizations in Philadelphia, but we only serve youth, 14 through 23. We provide free social services to youth center programming, life skills, like anything that this world is not giving and taking away from our youth of queerness, we provide. So there's therapy, there's counseling, it's free of charge. We have many youth who may be told you gotta leave because you say who you are. We are there to make sure we have a safer environment so you can just chill out and no one is questioning and like making you feel horrible about who you are, even if you're questioning. So it's not just about queer youth, even our allies. Can I have a place where, you know, I can just be me, even if I don't even know, I'm good. And that's what the attic provides. The Bryson Institute is where I actually work. It's all in the same building, you all. But basically, what I'm doing right now is what I do on a daily basis. So wherever, not just in Philadelphia, we have crossed the state lines, wherever it is that people are like, you know, I don't quite get it. Now with all this new news and the centering on trans rights, which is a really, really huge fight, that I'm glad to be a part of, we make sure that we are letting employers and all types of people know it is okay if someone doesn't match what you feel is human, which is really, really crazy, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we provide, trainings to anyone who feels they need it, and I'm glad to be a part of that. So I have a little exercise for you, but before that, my lovely friend Lisa already kind of told you all, I've been in the attic since 2023. That is actually me in Washington, D.C. when the Scarametti case was being tried at the Supreme Court, which was, I believe, I'm probably getting states wrong because, you know, there's so many states that are doing these things. I think it was Tennessee, where they basically ended affirming care for queer youth. I've been an educator, like what was said, for 30+ years, and I actually left education in the way that I was educating, because I've worn many, many hats, because of my own son. I got tired of working alongside people who were abusing children. I'm just gonna be very, very clear about it. It is not for you to judge a child who tells you in college, because that's where I was at my last job before the attic, that I'm not gonna call you by your chosen name, and I'm gonna use the pronouns that you look like. How you do that to a young adult? And I will not share my own business, but to be always hearing the complaints of professors that are respected, I cannot co-sign that type of treatment of children. Not gonna do it. So I left, I believe it was 2023, as a matter of fact, when I was going to the Attic Youth Center, and I am not looking back, because I'm still educating. Like, it's poetic justice to go do this work in schools and be able to stand in front of a superintendent and tell teachers, what did you sign up for? So do it. Especially New Jersey, because I moved from Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, to New Jersey. I was forced to, in the middle of COVID, when it first took us over as a world, because my child was being so harassed and actually humiliated and approached to be beaten up in YMC bathroom. So when my child tells me I don't want to go to school anymore, it's time to go. I was already working in New Jersey, so we moved there. I've been here going on now 6 years later. So again, I have 4 sons. It is, woo, because 4 sons, even though they're all grown, my youngest, who is my child with trans experience, told me when he was 6. So if you don't believe children know who they are at 6, I'm here to tell you that is not true. My child is now 19 and in college, and he's never changed his mind. So I'm here to tell you, I didn't read a book, and I'm talking about stuff to you all. I'm living this. And just because he's 19 means nothing in this country. So I'm still always prayerful and making sure that he is safe, because he does not go to school in New Jersey or Pennsylvania. He's out in another state. But that is me. You see my sweatshirt. I am always ready to fight for our youth. They have a right to become adults and live the life that they were destined to be. All right, guiding principles, really quickly. Confidentiality. If someone feels so moved to share something that's personal, we should know, no matter how close they are to you, please don't repeat their story. It is always so special when someone feels comfortable enough to say, you know what, this is how I feel. Even if you don't even agree with something that I say, please feel free to let that out. Challenge your biases. I even have them. We all have them. But I wasn't reared like that. I never heard that. It's okay. At least hear me out. And just weigh it, right? People are always throwing their ideas and their beliefs at us. We always have our own. Use I statements. Really, even as a teacher, there really is no bad question. I may have a bad answer. I may not know, but I will get you the answer, because that's how important it is. This last bubble is very, very important. This is our mantra at the Attic Youth Center. I see you, I hear you, I respect you. Can we say that together? I see you, I hear you, I respect you. How many times do our youth ever hear that from adults? So every child that comes into our sphere, our family, that is what they know. We see you. You say who you are, it's not for me to question. It's not for me to say no, that couldn't be. But you look like this. No, I respect you enough that you know your own selves. So that's very important as we go on in this short time together. Got a little icebreaker. So, take your stuff off your lap. We're going to do a thing called sit down very, very quickly. So everyone, if you can, please stand. Kind of give everybody some room. I'm going to read you a series of statements. If any of the statements are true for you, and please be honest with yourselves, all you do is have a seat. And we're going to wait for me to do all the other statements. Again, once you are seated, remain seated, no matter what the other statements are. Are there any I'm sorry. I'm gonna read.
If we agree?
If it pertains to you,
Oh,
have a seat.
Okay.
If it does not pertain to you, remain standing. Okay? Are there any questions? I take it as a no. Y'all gotta talk to me. I'm a New Yorker. I'm gonna Okay. Are we good?
Good.
Okay, great.
We see you, we hear you.
Come on! Yes! All right, I love that. Okay. All right. You are a woman with short or no hair.
Oh. How did she know I needed to say that?
You are a man who sits with your legs crossed. You are a woman and have worn a baseball cap. You identify as a feminist. You are a man and don't play sports. You are a woman and stand up for yourself. You are a man and show affection to other men. Okay, no one else is thinking? Okay, so I'm gonna show you very quickly the other things I was gonna ask. The one with a lower deep voice. You're not wearing makeup today, you're a woman. So what is the point of all this? Can anyone tell me, before I show you, what was the point of those questions? And the significance that everyone here is seated? I will be seated as well, just for the first one, because I shaved my hair on purpose.
They're all social norms.
Gender
Or you
stereotypes.
get that you think
Gender
of, that you
stereotypes.
be judged by.
Oh, okay.
Acceptance.
The point is that all of you who are seated could be the targets for hate crimes. Just wearing a baseball cap. Human beings who have done the same behaviors, right, have been targeted as though you're violating a social norm that we are used to. And this icebreaker reveals the constant, I call irrationales for discrimination against the LGBTQIA+ community. Because you can't just look at someone and say, oh, that's one of those people. Oh, they're queer. How? I have a deep voice. You call me 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm gonna sound like my father, may he rest in peace. I've had to tell people, no, it's Miss Herring or it's Nadeen. Oh, sorry, but that's a part of my makeup. I'm not gonna change my voice to fit what a woman should sound like. How, that's just ridiculous. So again, perceived abnormalities place even regular or heterosexual cis people in jeopardy. It's not just about queer people, but we categorize them as not us, the other. Very, very dangerous. All right, if any word you remember this word, soji. Has anyone ever heard of soji?
No.
Okay, I saw one hand. Well, guess what? Everyone that is born on this earth has a soji. Soji stands for sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression. That's everybody. This is not a gay term. This is a human term. So what people get confused with, since, our news is all around us, is sexual orientation and gender identity. That was a basis of even some of my own former friends and former family, I'm talking about my relatives, where we don't even talk. Because I'm not going to fight to explain to you who my child is. So sexual orientation is simply about attraction. Who am I attracted to? So when you all walked in the room, did you know who I was attracted to? It's impossible, correct? Now, when you walked in, you probably guessed my identity. You see, okay, she doesn't have hair, but she has makeup on, earrings. I mean, she's kind of presenting as I would probably see a woman, but now I'm confirming to you, and may I please apologize, when I introduced myself, I did not say my pronouns. They are she, her, and I always do that. I guess you all just have me so ratchet. Okay? So, gender identity, which is what my own child shared with me at the age of 6, is who I say I am. Not my mom, my dad, my grandmother, aunt, no. Who am I? Because that's why it was so important. Thank you for reading that so well. I don't own my children. I had help in bringing forth some beautiful human beings. But that does not mean I tell you who you are. How do I really know that? So my internal sense of myself, no matter what you see as my shell, I identify as a woman. This is Nadeen in front of you. So you may see me at Home Depot. I have a full sweatsuit on, no earrings, no makeup, and I'm just walking looking for that special hammer. But guess what? I'm all woman. I may go to the store and go shop for some clothing, and I'm in the men's section. And guess why I love the men's section to shop?
Baseball
Exactly. What's that?
Baseball bats.
No, well, I
Their
like that.
sizes are measured by like inches and not by like size 3 or size 12.
Okay,
or-
something even real basic. What do men's pants have that they don't get?
Pocket.
Pockets,
That's
right?
That's right.
So if the pants fit, I'm wearing them because they got pockets. I don't always want to have a purse. I want stuff on me so my hands are free to look through the clothes. So wherever I shop, whatever I wear, that does not make my identity.
Right.
That I am still all woman. I shave my hair because I look good, right? And it's hot. And also it was paying homage to my mother, okay? And that's a whole other story. But how I present myself, which goes into expression, is how I express who I am. So I want to look really cutesy-wootsy. I'll do that because I love to get dressed up. And sometimes I just want to be comfortable and get dirty. You're not going to see me all the time cutesy-wootsy at the attic. We're dealing with, youth. We're in a small area. Why get dressed up with nowhere really to go? Where people are going to see you and I want to be all cute. I'm just going to dress down. So this is Soji. The challenge with Soji is not our own. It's with people around us. Because we know who we are. But everybody else in meeting us sizes us up, defines us, and puts us in a category before we even say hello. And the challenge, this is Nadeen, this is not the addict, this is not on paper, but this is my firm belief, and definitely loving on, catering to, and serving children, is that children nowadays, with these wonderful different generations, right, that frustrate us, they speak up louder than we did when we were younger. And they say, you know what? I'm not really feeling how you're telling me I am and who I'm supposed to be. We did not do that. Did everyone go through puberty? Raise your hand if it was wonderful. I don't see any hands, right? That was some stuff, right? Our children go through that. I'm not gonna get in your business, but let's just be honest. When you are going through puberty, and if you went to college or trade school, as you're growing with all these different pieces of you, right? You probably did some things, thought some things, experimented with some things, and you don't want to tell a soul. But our youth are like, you know what? It's all a part of normal growing. And just because in high school I dated boys, and then I went to college, and I was like, wow, I have my first girlfriend. Or then, as an adult, before I thought about marriage, I don't quite know if that's for me. It's normal. But we have been taught it's not normal. And you should be set aside or ridiculed because you're not doing the normal thing. What's normal? But experimenting with the person that you are. And that's what our children are doing. So Soji, everyone has one. And if more adults sat still and thought about, who am I? Why did I do this? What is my decision? They would really, really come to terms. It's okay. And your Soji people can change. So while I say right now my identity is all woman, I can still be all woman, but my sexual orientation changes, can it not? I love men for 10 years, then maybe I'm with a woman for 5. Or maybe I'm in a amorous relationship, which means more than one person. So you have to understand, I'm not an abnormality. It's people are telling me I'm not doing the right thing for me. If I'm not bothering you, let me be at peace. So SOGI is a very important word to know. And I did put down here, sex does not equal gender. Gender is what we think of, or what culminates when, you know, we say, we're gonna have a baby. And then everybody wants to go to the gender reveal and probably cause a forest fire. But let's go on to something else, okay? And I'm so excited you're gonna have a girl. And what are the things that go into your head right away? Pink, okay, ballerina, whatever. When I had my first son, the men of my family already had him signed up for football practice. Folks, he's not even 6 months old. Relax, right? And the irony is, no one played football, guess what? Except my youngest son, who has trans experience.
Wow.
And even I had to get over all of my crap, right? No, you cannot play football. Something could happen. You're really a girl, like all those things. I'm human. But I let him play football. Let me tell you a secret. He wasn't good. So he did it for a year. And then next year, he changed his mind and became a wonderful bowler and does volleyball. So when you let children be, you'd be so surprised. Yes. So, has anyone ever seen this? The gender unicorn. This is like, so many people use this, okay? I want to use myself as an example to kind of explain SOGI even more. So we have this wonderful, cheerful unicorn that exemplifies SOGI. So let's first go with gender identity. The black hearts show how I would fill this out for myself, and I'll explain so you kind of know what our youth or adults are going through. So in the gender unicorn, the gender identity, you have female, woman, girl, male, man, boy, or other genders, okay? Because just because you say men and women, okay, does not mean that is factual. And I'll leave that loose because somebody said that a few years ago, that there's only two, and that is not correct. Now, my choosing, I am female, woman, girl. Let me explain, okay, what it means by transgender. Transgender just means that, let's look at your birth certificate, right? On mine, it says female. Have not changed my mind. I'm still there. My youngest child, it said female when he was born. That was what the gender identity was, that a stranger, a doctor, somebody else who does not know my child said he is just based on what was between his legs. That's all you have, right? That does not define you. But I agree with that. My sons did not. So eventually, after much, much fighting, that has now been corrected. I have a male child. Now, I would check off female. Let's look at gender expression. Talk about how people get it wrong. Like I told you a few minutes ago, I can express the way I want. I could wear whatever men's clothing is. I could wear men's shoes. Like if I feel good in that, that's about me. Why does it make people so uncomfortable? So my expression, my heart, if you kind of see, goes between feminine and masculine. Because let me tell you, Nadeen looks good in a man's suit. I am spiffy. Not just of the bald head, but just the commanding of fashion, and I look good. I'm still Nadeen the woman, right? It's the clothing, the presentation. I want to be a little bit different. Maybe I want to shock someone. That's my right. But if a man comes in, and I always have to tell teachers this, you're looking at your roster and you're looking at Bobby, but then you call on Bobby and this hand goes up and this human being who is innocent has on a beautiful pink blouse, hair is long, and you're like, that's not Bobby. Why? That's how Bobby is expressing themselves. So can I own something about me? So many of our youth, parents, maybe this will shock you. I'm gonna wake up and come out with blue hair, black fingernails and all that. It's expression. Like we gotta let people be free with that. Sex assigned at birth. I chose female. The choices are female, male, or intersex. Has anyone ever heard of intersex? I'm not gonna go into it deeply, but I need to acknowledge. Could you tell me what you know about intersex people?
People born with both mixture of male and female genitalia.
Not quite. What did you think, ma'am?
Well, I was thinking the same.
Okay, it's not about genitalia, right? I know back even when I was younger. Yes, okay? You know, they said a really nasty word called hermaphrodites, okay? Which we don't use. Because that was always what was assumed. They have both genitalia. That is not true. Basically, it's an umbrella term for human beings who have a normal, let me make sure I emphasize this, a normal condition. It is basically you are born, and you know what, with the characteristic you have, not just genitalia, it does not fit right in just male and not quite just in female. Genitalia may be one of the signs, but largely we have intersex people where it is internal. This is why I always say and emphasize, when someone is born, how am I only defined by what's on the outside? Many times intersex people don't even know that there is, you know, something that is not typical, because you notice, I'm not saying that it's wrong, it is not abnormal, they don't have a problem, they don't have to be fixed. There could be chromosomes inside that are not aligned as a male or a female would be. There's extra X, there's extra Y, there could be something of a different combination. So many intersex people may not even know they're intersex until puberty, right? Well, you know, all those body things are changing, and then you find out something. It can be very subtle. If you're not gonna maybe, you know, procreate, or if this is not a part of your life is very different, many intersex people will never even know. Because who was doing that deep dive into doing tests based on who you are? Yes, ma'am.
So what happens, so, I mean, I don't know a lot about this, but I've just read. So what
Yes.
happens when the child is born with, you know?
If they have both genitalia?
Yeah, because it used to be that the doctor or the parents would decide which sex.
You
the
just
child was.
answered it, which was very, very unfortunate.
Right.
Because think of this, you have a baby, right? And you are being forced to make a decision. Are you gonna have a boy or are you gonna have a girl? The irony is, okay, they will force these babies to be operated on to make them the right sex. Then, look at the mistake that can happen. Then you have that surgery. I have my daughter, they go through puberty, but internally, you don't even have, they don't match.
Gender.
So now, what do you do?
So what do they put on a birth certificate when a child is born with both?
I'm not sure, because I don't think there's an intersex. I have never actually spoken that intimately with some people I know. I'm not quite sure. But I think that's probably why they forced them to make a choice. Nowadays, because that's outlawed in many states, nowadays I'm not quite sure, to be honest. But I'll find that out for you. And I'm going to Lisa.
Those are the problems right now, where the states, I think Tennessee is telling you, you have to
That's
put
right.
on your driver's license the sex assigned at birth, but what was your sex assigned at birth? Yeah.
Right. And unfortunately, there are, I forgot the state, I don't even wanna get into it, but I know that not even maybe a month or almost two ago, a state has basically nullified all trans people's licenses.
Texas.
Kentucky, thank you.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm not gonna get political, we already should know, just by what I've already said thus far, why that is gravely wrong, okay? Because you're going to make me be who you say I am. And honestly, you know, this is very dear to me. My son is who he is. I didn't ask your permission to have my child. You were not a part of his being, so you don't come and tell me who he is. He knows. So, that's the mess. So intersex people, which is why I said someone who said there are only two sexes is gravely wrong. There are millions of human beings who are intersex, and they are normal people, folks. You wouldn't know by looking at them. Sexually attracted to, remember, part of the SOGI. So for Nadeen, it's men. So I chose that. If someone is in my circle or I meet someone that does not agree with what I said I'm attracted what does that do with you? Unless I wish to have a relationship with you, why does that irk some people? I'm not gonna do the typical love is love. Mind your business. Don't you have enough? No one has a rose garden surrounding them all their lives that you have to like belittle someone because your flowers are so bright. Let somebody else's flowers be bright. Now, romantically and emotionally attracted too, because there are asexual people, folks. People that, you know what, when I meet you, it's not a Hallmark movie moment. I see you across the room. Oh my gosh, you're so amazing. And then in 10 minutes commercial break, and you know, they're in the bedroom. That is not life. Maybe for some people, not my business, okay? But if you're romantically, emotionally attracted to somebody, that doesn't mean it has to lead to anything else. You know, this world does some really, really mean things to our minds. I hope we're much more than that. So for my choosing, my heart is big. Well, how is that? Because I meet many people. In my work as an educator, just a people person, I may like really, really vibe, or like we talk for hours at a conference, at a club, whatever. And I'm really, really, like my life is enhanced by your presence. It wasn't based because you were a man. I mean, it wasn't, you know, about that you were a woman. I vibed on you. So there's many times I don't know if the person identifies, remember, as a woman, a man, or even other. It could be a trans person, I don't even know, because guess what? I'm not delving into all that. Do you like meet someone and say, hey, so can you tell me what's in your pants? Do you understand what type of response you should get? Okay. But if you're talking to the person, that's who you appreciate. There's a t-shirt that I have at home that is to be careful who you hate. It may be someone that you love. Because when you want to just cast, I don't like gays, I don't like trans people, non-binary, gender non-conforming. Nope, you gotta be normal, you gotta be straight, you gotta be cis. That's the American way. You're gonna really circle, your circle's gonna be tiny. And many people who say, and I love when teachers tell me when I'm done training, well, you know, Nadeen, I appreciate what you said, but I don't have any trans, you know, children in my classroom. I don't have any non-binary children. You know, like everybody is normal. And I just start laughing at them in their face, because I could do that now, right? And I say, that's what you think. And you know what, you're not going to know, because if you have this attitude, they're not gonna come to you and tell you a thing. And that's very, very tragic, okay? Our people, because it's not those people, it's not those gays, those, you know, queer folks. You know, it's all of us. Again, soldiers can change. And because we're so pressured from birth to be what people say we are, do you know how stifling that is? How dangerous that is? We gotta let people just be who they are. Won't we all be happier? Yes, sir.
I have a question. We have a neighbor who identifies herself as non-binary.
Yes.
What, would that be a gender identity, self-choice?
Yes.
In that category?
Correct. And the beautiful thing, non-binary, does everyone understand that or have heard non-binary? So no, binary means just two, male or female. Non is, you know what, you're not gonna pen me into that. And it, you know what, let me tell you the best way of knowing or understanding individuals. If you get to know them enough that you can have a discussion, right? Ask them. Because non-binary to person one may not be the same thing for person three. If I put my son with 4 other human beings with trans experience, and I say it that way because when I used to always refer to my son as transgender, he stopped me in my tracks when he was much younger. He said, could you not introduce me like that? And I said, well, I mean, this is the work that I do. He said, I understand if you're doing a training model, but seriously, I'm not your transgender child. I'm your son. I'm your son first, okay? And then I finally got it. Because there's so much more to my son than transness. He's intelligent. He's a great friend. He's artistic. He's a daggone comedian. You can't be in my house You can't not be in my house. You gotta be a comedian. We laugh all the time. Trans, when I did my own experiment, and I listed 96 things about my son, do you know that even I forgot to put trans? Because that's not the first thing about him. So, when we're talking about non-binary, how some non-binary people, live their lives. You come in, you ask them their pronouns. Okay? When I meet people, when I teach classes, whether it was the little ones to college, I always say hello, depending on the environment. I'm Miss Herring, your professor, or I'm Nadeen, okay? And my pronouns are she, her. Why do you think that's so important to do? Anybody?
Leave space for them to say that. Like a leave space, like that there are options that other people can
Yes,
say their.
yes. A bigger thing. When you walk into a room, do you know who's in there? And their identities? Just your assumptions, right? So I say that especially as a teacher, I say educator, because I want to make sure that that person in whatever row, the child in the back, knows, wait a minute, everyone doesn't do that. That may be a safe person to go to if I have a problem. Or wow, she gets it. No one ever shares their pronouns. I'm afraid to do that. I do that so you know what? You don't have to say what your identity is when you introduce yourselves. But I've given you the outlet that you can. For younger children, it could be a little bit scarier because I'm still kind of find out. And we know that children, when the teacher's back is turned, can be really, really nasty to other children. And they don't want to out themselves. But I give you the option. And always in my office, I don't care, it doesn't have to be an obnoxious flag. There could be a small flag, okay, the progress flag, and you already know that you're welcome. That's why I do it. And do you have to answer back with your pronouns? No. So I say, I'm she, her, all day, every day. Come see me, what's up? And some children have the option. I just say, introduce yourselves. Some children have asked me, well, what did you mean by she, her? I tell them really, really quickly and simply. It's not a big deal. We'll talk later. And some children just say, I'm Patty, and I love to bicycle. That's fine. Maybe we'll talk later, maybe we won't. So that's why it's so important. Now, to get back to what you're saying with non-binary people, everything else is sexual attraction, the romantic attraction, and the expression could all vary. I'm non-binary. So if I'm non-binary, you're not gonna tell me what I have to have on as clothing. You're not gonna tell me I have to have my hair, what color, what I have to say, even my pronouns. It could be they, them, it may not be, which we're gonna go into in just a minute. So thank you, excellent question. The bottom line is, don't assume, ask. So we're gonna look at a little video. Okay. So let's see, hopefully this works.
Is this Big Kahuna Burger? Okay, great. I'd like to order your Hawaiian special. Thanks. Oh, wait. Can you take the onion off, please? I don't really like onion. Okay, yeah, thanks. Oh, no mayo as well. And, if I could have it without the meat? Yeah, I'm vegetarian. Great, thank you. Oh, and, no buns? Allergic to gluten? Yeah, okay, that's it. Yeah, basically just lettuce. Thank you. Gender pronouns are usually meant to reflect the gender identity of the person being talked about. She, her, and hers, and he, him, and his are the most common gender pronouns used. Some people may refer to these as feminine and masculine pronouns, though a person could use she, her, hers pronouns and not feel feminine, and vice versa. There are also people who identify as non-binary. They may experience their gender identity as neither exclusively male or female, or in between or beyond both genders. In that case, they might use other pronouns like Z, here, or a whole host of other options. The word they, which is often used to explain the actions of a group of people, can also be used to describe one person alone. For example, they rode their bike to the store. In other cases, someone may prefer that no pronouns be used at all, and that only their name be used when speaking about them. Jason rode Jason's bike to the store. There are many different pronouns that a person can use, so it's less important that you know them all, and because you can't always know what a person's pronouns are just by looking at them, it's important that you ask for and use the pronouns that the person's requested. This is a basic sign of respect for a person's humanity and identity. Actively ignoring someone's pronouns could have harmful effects on their confidence and self-esteem. For some people, pronouns may change from time to time, which means you may want to check in regularly, just to make sure you're being respectful. If you ever mess up someone's pronouns, you don't have to make a big deal out of it. Just apologize and continue to work to do better. And if you need help, reach out to a trusted adult for support and assistance. Until next time, don't forget to visit me at amaze.org or go to my YouTube channel to watch more. Bye!
And let me say something very quickly about Amaze that did those videos. I know this sounds corny, but I have no other word. They're amazing, okay? They really cover the gamut of things that have to do with our youth. So if you ever wanna just have a talk, and they're even better for adults, cause we don't always get it, right? But Amaze, ooh, they are the stuff. But let me, very quickly, any comments about what you just saw? Anything you learned about pronouns?
Well,
Give me one thing.
The Z and the other one, so how frequently are those being used? Because I
Okay.
don't hear them in the circles that I'm in.
Great, okay, so they're called neo-pronouns, and as you heard in the beginning, it doesn't attach gender to it, like she, he, like we understand female or male. Neo-pronouns, I can't really say how often they're used, because even in my life, I only know of 2 people that, in my entire life, that use neo-pronouns. So, when you meet someone, and you say yours, they may surprise you and say a neo-pronoun you don't know of. And guess what? Don't just say, oh, okay, ask. Okay, could you tell me what that means? Because I was working with someone for 2 years on the university level, and when we went to go do a training together, they got up and they said mix and their last name, MS. So it's not Mr., Ms., Mrs., Miss. That is the pronoun that they used. And I said, oh my goodness, all this time, because all I was doing was using their name and never even thought of what the title would be, right? Neo-pronouns is there's several websites that list them. I myself, I'm not gonna burden myself in doing that. I'll look it up with people that go by those neo-pronouns, because there's so many. And folks, even if I talk to you all day for 365 days of this year, we still would not cover everything about LGBTQIA+. Because guess what? It's always changing. I'm probably behind right now. I'm sure someone outside my generation who was younger will say, Nadeen, goodness, could you please get it right? In 5 minutes, it will change. But that's the beauty of humanity. So we gotta give grace with that. Yes?
Just a quick note, we have it easier in English than other languages, because, in Spanish you have masculine and
That's
feminine
right.
pronouns, so you have to attach an adjective with the correct ending.
Correct.
And they just kind of give up.
Yes, and I love our foreign language teachers, because how do you crisscross that, right? And Spanish, and obviously there's other languages, but that seems to be like, because things are masculine and feminine, are we really inclusive as we should?
No, German's got it right, they have a neuter, they have a neuter gender.
Beautiful.
So in German, you can get away with calling somebody by their neuter
Exactly.
pronoun.
Well, they're neutral one, yes. So it's a beautiful problem that we have to be creative and being inclusive. Because it just shows you how the binary has been so cemented in our daily lives. So when you meet someone, if they go by neo-pronoun, they're gonna let you know, trust me. And as, being an English teacher, because that's what I majored in, that's what I largely taught, this was not a really big deal, because even in Shakespeare used they. This is not anything that is new. It's just a word, y'all. And individuals can be they. I think it's a beautiful thing. I'm not gonna go into all the identities when we're talking about our indigenous people, okay, who welcome this and revere those individuals who are on the spectrum of having both genders or sexes within them. It is not an impossibility. It is old, as older than we are. This is a phenomenon that is not so phenomenal. We just have to look at our history, because this is nothing new. And we're talking about trans individuals, they've been here forever. This is nothing new that children are like, you're just a trend, you're just trying to be like other children. No, this is old as dirt, probably older.
Excuse me.
Yes.
So the one other one that comes up, because I had to write a letter recently, and the person gives their name, and their name is from another country's origin.
Okay.
So I have no idea, is it male or female, do I address them as Mr., Ms., Mrs., whatever, I have
Yes.
no idea. So that's another place in language, when you have one of these names, or even in English, that could go either way, like a Madison or Harrison or whatever. So, what do you do when you're writing a letter to somebody and you don't know? I mean, I just wrote like, to whom it may concern, or, dear madam or sir, but that even still puts.
Just go binary, right. So what I always do, because I've had that happen, I have no idea, because even in the signature, it does not necessarily say, but again, it is very hard to unlearn binary thinking. So what I do is I write the person back using their whole name. At some point, they will tell me.
And that's what I did.
Yes, that's
And
perfect.
the person wrote back and said, signed it, or whatever, Mrs. So-and-so.
Yes, so we have to get out of the arrogance overall, in our own dominant language, okay? Something seems a little weird. I'm not used to how do I address you, just address them by what they give you, okay? Like you saw even the pronoun film, some people do not even go with that pronoun stuff. And it doesn't mean like they're not receptive or understanding, they just don't. Call me by Nadeen, I don't do that for whatever reason, I'm not gonna ask, it's not my business. I just wanna be able to communicate with you and respect you when you're not in the room. So if I say she, her, and if you go into a conference and you're like, remember when he said this, who? Nadeen, is she, her? Just feel, comfortable in doing that. Cause we wanna make sure it's not just respect in my face, it's respect when I'm not in the room. So you did right, just use the person's whole name. So I did this for, someone many jobs ago, before I even was doing this work. And when we got a phone call, they told me their identity. So that, they could tell I was doing the whole name out of respect until I'm given permission into your identity. So see me, respect me, make space for me to be me. Again, lookism is very much an enemy of ours. As soon as someone walks in the door, you've already sized them up. Oh, look at that woman, that man. Well, I don't know who that. Does it matter? Go up and say your name. Hey, welcome. How are you? It's really hard living in this world, in this thing called life, because we are subject every single second to some defining moment. I come in, you see a black woman, she has big earrings, whatever it may be, and I've already been ciphered down to this small thing that you see. We're so much greater than that. So unfortunately, many people may struggle or refuse to honor a trans person's new affirmed name or even their person. Our children go through this all the time. If I tell you when I am in class, teacher, please call me this. Why is that such a big deal? Make the child happy. I want you to do my work. I want you to see their work partners. When a person intentionally calls a trans person by the name on their birth certificate or name they no longer use, whether they transition or not, it's called dead naming. Let me also make sure that I get this assumption or this generality that people think. Trans people are not running for the hills to get surgery. That is not what transgender means. I could be trans, right? And all I'm saying is that my identity is not what is on my birth certificate. That's what trans means. Cis is the opposite. I am cisgender because my birth certificate matches how I identify. When it does not, that is why we have trans. That's as simple as it is. It's not a bad word, it's describing something. So cis people, they agree in identity with what's on their birth certificate. If I then tell my boss, or my family, I now want to be called Nathan or Gerald. And I then present myself all the time as a man. Or I say I'm non-binary. That's not on my birth certificate. That's trans. Is that everybody getting that? So like, we gotta relax with terms. So when people, this happens a lot at work, this happens at some institutions that I have to train that serve children, they're calling these people by their dead names. And dead name, you know, a lot of people don't use that, you know, that's just telling you, that name that I called you, that's on the birth certificate, we don't use that anymore. It's gone, it's dead, right? So to purposely do that is violent. It is so disrespectful. You know, as a mother, I used to take my youngest son to the doctor. I'm on the phone with them. I'm already letting them know. I know what's on the insurance card, because it's not that easy, right? But we're gonna call my son what he chose. And it may not be on the birth certificate, I mean on the insurance card, but when I go there, and I've already talked to you, what I expect is that you call my son by the name I told you. Well, let me tell you how many times I did my work. I worked with the person up behind that front desk, and I'm sitting here with my son, and right at that door back there comes a nurse and yells out the name that we no longer call him. So I have to now pick up the pieces that you put my son into and start over for him to feel whole. To do that over and over and over, like some adults feel like, I mean, it's not a big deal. I just go, that's what your name was. No, that is not who I am. My son is who he is. I dare not call him by that name that of the person I thought I was giving birth to and did the research. Like I researched all my children's names. And that human being came and told me, well, guess what, Mom? That is not me. That's who you thought I was, but I'm telling you who I am. Yes?
Do people go through a court process and get their names changed on their birth certificates? Like when we're an adoptive family, so
Yes.
when we adopt a child, we actually change the birth certificate.
Yes, some people do.
So they do. Okay.
Yes. I mean, nowadays you don't really have a choice, or like you're forced because there's so many safeguards to keep you out. Okay, you can't go to the airport. You can't get a passport. You can't enjoy life like cis people do because I choose my life the way I want to choose it, right? So I didn't change my sons for a while. There are many, there's a long story behind it, but I couldn't that easily. But when I did, I'm so very happy that I did it before things changed in the last couple of years, okay? Because people think children just will get over it. No. Imagine going to work. What is your name, if you don't mind my asking?
Jean.
Jean. And you go to work 8 hours in that day, and everybody called you Janet, and had no apologies. Yeah, most of us, okay, it's Jean, it's Jean. Who wants to keep doing that? So it does strip you of your humanity. I'm sorry, you had your hand up.
I was just wondering, do people ever use genetic testing to prove things as far as how their chromosomes are?
Well, the only time, I can only talk by my experience. There have been some people I know that have done testing only because something in their health warranted that.
Mm-hmm.
But I will tell you, I was not about to go and test my son, for example, to prove why he is transgender.
Okay.
I don't care.
I'm just wondering if that's something that they should do at birth so the parents are aware, okay, this is what it's showing up genetically, you know, the
So
chromosomes. So to give you a heads up for down the road if they're
Right.
starting to suspect things.
Well, I don't know if you necessarily would know that by particular testing, right? And also, let's go on the other side of the argument. Why are we testing to see what you are or who you're gonna wind up to be? That may not be what's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
Or is that the worst thing? You know, when we look at, oh my gosh, if I don't see a pink cloud in the forest versus a blue cloud, I'm going to be so disappointed I'm not gonna have that boy. What does that then tell us in terms of, like, I can understand you're testing for something that may shorten your lifespan. shorten this. If you really wanna be that informed, I don't know if there's a test that will tell you your child's gonna be non-binary or your child's gonna be transgender. I don't think there's a test for that.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, it's
No, I was
Tom.
gonna say, I just had a conversation, we had some friends from childhood that were identical twins.
Okay.
One of them's gay and one of them's not.
That happens, right?
So, I mean, genetically, they share 99 points.
Exactly. So again, I've never heard of a test of that nature. Because then, you know what, you're gonna do it all types of stuff. My child gonna be gay? How you test for a non-binary? Like again, experiences frame us, and also, you know, like I know my son, that is who he's always been. I was just told, you know, by the sonogram, and when my child was born, by a brief glimpse, this is who you have, and that is not true. And he's never been happier. He was miserable when I was taking him to get, you know, girls' day and nail polish and all this type of stuff, and he was really, really irritating me when he was taking the nail polish off. Okay? So the impact of pronouns and names, you know, let's look at the mental health of our youth. When supported, trans youth have developmentally normal levels of depression. Like we all go through things, like puberty is hard, right? We've already said that no one raised their hand, that it was like a walk in the park. 50% of LGBTQ plus young people who wanted mental health care in the past weren't even able to get it. I want you to really see that. So when people say that queer people are mentally ill, which I think are so interesting, what are you talking about? The reason why more of our youth and young adults and even adults need mental health support is because of the way people treat them. It's not the other way around. I'm living my life. You're stopping me at the door because I look a certain way. You're stopping me because my hair's a certain way. You're telling me, well, if you can't act straight, then what is your problem? I'm not hurting you. Chosen names associated with lower depression, suicide ideation, and self-harm. Chosen names. Like I choose my family. I have relatives, but all of them I don't get down with, because guess what? My child is still my child. My child identified differently, but this is still your family member. And if you can't get on board with that, you gotta go. And I have no guilt about that. So when you choose a part of your household to call your child by the chosen name, and yes, they will change. My child changed his name. We didn't do it officially, I'm talking about just how people talk to him 3 times before he arrived at his name, that now he's always been this child. So think of it, if you're called the wrong name every day, you think you're gonna be perky in the morning? You're gonna be skipping down the street? Oh, it's such a lovely day. Everyone is identifying me the way they see me, not as I am. 66% of LGBTQ plus young people report experiencing recent symptoms of anxiety. That was in 2024. I'm sure it is up from that. Because all you see in the news, especially for our trans youth, is that you're nothing. That you're grooming people. The bathroom. Let me tell you something. When I go to the bathroom and go in my little cubby to go to the bathroom, all I'm worried about when I come out, did you wash your hands? I don't want to be sick. That's what I'm worried about. And the people who are really causing problems, if I must say very, very boldly, are not trans people. Let's just be for real. I just want to do what the bathroom's meant to be and go. And let me also talk very quickly about schools. Being educated for as long as I have. Regular, okay, the typical teenager does not like changing for gym. The typical child does not want to go and, you know, change for gym. They are like very, very, you know, mental and like really attentive to how they look. They're going through some serious challenges. I want to change in a stall. I want to go in a private bathroom and change. My whole image does not fit what I see on social media. It's not just trans people. I want privacy. Grown people don't want to change in the gym. So why are we just doing it? It's just about trans children. No, we're very, very anxious. You see social media lately to children? They're never going to be right. You're not pretty enough. Your butt's not big enough. Why are your breasts that small? You're the itty bitty whatever committee. Like, no, they go through this every day. It's just regular people. Any questions? Because I'm over time. anything, yes.
Do you have any authors you recommend for books on?
Oh, goodness, I could definitely send them to
Yeah.
Lisa, yes, yes. And you know, if you know of any children, and again, we serve 14 through 23, that are going through it. I know you're in Jersey, but I live in Jersey and I get to work every day. The Attic Youth Center is there for our youth. It is really scary out there. I'm talking about strangers saying really putrid things to youth. Doing things, throwing things at them, making them feel like they're scum. So imagine receiving that every day, and you're in the news every day, and you're not even doing anything to anybody but just living. This is my information, but I'm gonna make sure, well, it's already been, recorded. You can notify me at any time. I'm not just here for trainings. If you have a question, if you just wanna say hi, I'm having a great day, that'll make my day, right? Even though seeing youth every day, I'm not gonna lie, as much as this work is rough, tough, woo, you know, all of that, I wouldn't do anything else. I'm glad that I informally retired from teaching, and I'm still teaching, but I would never, ever go back. Because, some of our classrooms and schools do the most harm to our youth. So I'm not going back to that. Yes?
Are you working with parent groups as well, just to help them to navigate all of this, or like, you know, the parent-teacher organizations and things like that?
So I actually do, I do some work with an organization. As far as the attic, let me start with the attic. The attic actually also does counseling for families. Okay, so if you go on the website, you could actually send a note or call the counseling department, and there's also therapy. But ever since my son first told me who he is, yes, I work with parents, and that really is through the help of CHOP, because CHOP saved my life. Changed my family's lives. Okay, great. No, CHOP, the Sexuality and Gender Clinic, was the first stop I made when we moved to Philadelphia from upstate New York. And they're the ones that gave me language. Many of our problems is because people don't have the language. I didn't even know what transgender was. I just knew my son said, "I'm your son." I had no connection. And then once we got to Philadelphia, with the help of school personnel who I did not want in my business, but I'm glad they did. They introduced me to CHOP, and the rest is history. So I work with parents all the time.
Well, that's why I was asking you, because we're an adoptive family, and
Yes.
also we are a family with a person with disabilities.
Okay.
And so the person-centered language is so important. And
Yes.
to be using that in public so that people, instead of calling you your adopted child.
Yes, that's
or
my
your-
child.
Or your,
Yes.
so to put it, it's a, we always say we're an adoptive family,
Mm-hmm.
or an adoptive parent.
Right.
Or they joined our family through adoption. It's all positive language, and I think that as more people use that,
Yes.
it becomes more pervasive. And
Language is more crucial than people think. You can really push people away or bring them in. You know,
And that's why respecting how they introduce themselves is so important.
That's right.
So it takes communication and connection.
yes.
And it's not only one aspect, it's a person with a disability, but it's, that's not the whole identity of the person,
Exactly.
right? So it's the same kind of thing, it's just down the road a couple decades.
Very much so. I mean, we all have something that may not be in the norm, whatever the heck that is. So there is no normal. I'm living my life as I am. You see, and I've shared a little bit about me, but there is so much more to me, right? And so I have sons. I only said what one of my sons experiences for the sake of telling you all. But I have 4 sons, that's all there is to it. They all get on my nerves. I'm still sane, I know my name. Even though they're adults, young adults, they need me probably more than they did as they were young. I thought it was gonna be like peachy once I had an empty nest. It is not just peachy. Okay, they're right in Philadelphia. One is in the West and the one is in college, and they all have needs. It's like, can I ever just have a peaceful, quiet day? No. So language is everything. So, it's up to the individuals. I know, sometimes I cringe, and I know there's some reasons within families when, these are my children, these are my stepchildren. I really don't like that. Like, they're my children. Now, I get if there's parents involved and they wanna make sure, differentiate, cause I'm your mom. But is that not still your daughter? Is that still, you know, your son? The step doesn't have to come into it, cause you internalize that. You know, so I have 4 sons. You know, some people have asked me, well, which one of your 4 sons is trans? Why does it matter? I have 4 sons. They all get on my nerves the same way. He is my son, you know, and I know my child was always my son because I think BJ's is going to approach me to have a gold membership, cause that's all I shopped at was BJ's, cause they leasing that on my. And when the young one comes home, which is in 2 weeks, yay. It's like, come on, it's just you. And all my bills go up. I'm gonna have you sleep outside. So I really am thankful for your attention. You can call me or email me, I promise you, with anything. I'm a vessel to make sure that we remember that we're human beings first. And we can stumble, we can fall, but our children are everything. And I need us to keep loving on them because they deserve so much more than what we're giving them right now. But please have a wonderful day. The sun is coming out. Woo! I'm happy.
Thank you, Nadeen.
Yes.
We also want to thank the Equity and Social Justice Committee working together with the Reconciling Committee, because this was a collaboration. And
Beautiful.
you guys are so great to come out and support everything. And Mary, I want to just thank you for taking your time today. Really
Oh my
appreciate it.
gosh, thank you.
Mary's going to give a little promo.
Of course,
for
of
next
course.
week.
Just a reminder, next Sunday, we have Erin Talbot coming. She works with Recovery Court. So if you are like I am, don't know much about Recovery Court, make sure you come. Same time, same place next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I will share Nadine's contact information with everybody that I can remember to.